This kid, Will Hernandez, your left guard out of UTEP. Everybody loves him. Everybody, he's
I'm live. What's up, Michael Henderson? Let me know if you can hear me, my guy. We got Bricktown in the house. Good to see you, Bricktown. What's new in your world, sir? What's up? Ponies in the house. Can you guys hear us? Good on sound. Perfect. What's up, Cassandra Sykes? We got Simon Harris in the house. We got Hef in the house. What are you studying in law, Hef? What are you studying in law? Posts.
Hey guys.
Sori in the house.
What's up? What are you doing? Oh, you're letting people know?
Letting them know we are live. Yikes.
A meaning of life and metal. Good.
Live, y'all. I don't want to tell a story. No story to tell. Shout out to Sori, of course.
Hi.
We got Gojira here. Where's Alex? Hefner. Waiting for his 7:45 class.
Damien. I don't know. I always say Damien, but.
Right now you're interested in criminal law.
Ooh.
Whoa. I appreciate that, Mr. Henderson. Pasha.
Mr. Henderson. That just makes me think of Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson, welcome back. What's going on?
Hi, Pony.
Mikey B.
Socialism never worked and never will. No argument.
No arguments or buts about it. Oh, it's settled then.
Look at my face, guys. I went running.
I'm
I
not
don't
sure it's
usually
that
do
simple,
that.
my guy. Shout out to Northward. That is true. So, I don't know if I want to say this on the stream. What's y'all's view on the death penalty? Just curious, coming from the law student.
Make him do Ladies Week.
It's my opinion on the death penalty. So I have a very, very strange opinion on the death penalty.
Ladies Week
I
scared
think
me.
it's probably could be justified, but Christians should never be the executioners. Say it that way. Like, there's always going to be people in a given society that occupy that role, and they're always going to be the minority, and I don't think Christians should occupy that role. I think my understanding of the death penalty, it's kind of like it's kind of how I understand the military. I think the roles of, like, for example, like Bin Laden, like the roles of a Christian is we're supposed to go there and tell the guy about Jesus, and if he kills us, he kills us. But if the Navy SEALs get to him first, they're doing no wrong by blowing him away, right? Because I think this is one of those separations of church and state that again, very, very unique to me. You'll probably never hear anybody say that again. But I do think there's probably a case for a just form of the death penalty in extreme circumstances. But that even in that case, and my standards for what would justify the death penalty are probably extremely ridiculously high. But even in that case, a Christian shouldn't take part in killing anyone. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Honey, can you go back to the page, like not the watch page, but the page that has the game thing on it? Because I think I can get a clearer picture.
What game thing? We're at 7:20.
Yeah, I know, but that's why it should be clearer. Because I can usually get it clearer than that. Can I just click on this and it'll bring me back to the page where the game is on?
What's up, Ashley
See,
Collins?
because that gives me a direct. Just look into the camera, honey.
Okay.
Without moving around.
Ben Webb!
Okay. I think that's the clearest I can get it right there.
Okay.
See how much clearer? Look at my face got. Oh, but yours didn't really that much.
Oh, it's fine.
That's better. That's better.
Do y'all go to Got Questions? No.
What's that?
Hefner, what are you, man? I'm assuming you're Jewish. I don't know why, but I always thought you were Jewish.
Really?
Alex Hefner?
Well, you thought he looked Jewish?
Yeah, I just thought he was Jewish, and he goes to law school.
Well, I think I'm too. I always feel like Jewish people have to have dark hair and big noses. Oh, I can't believe I just said that on a live thing. Anyway, you don't look like a Jew to me. This is what I was talking about.
That's even worse. God almighty. Well,
he doesn't fit the... I expect Jamaicans to be... I should just stop now.
Just stop. Maybe you'll get away with it because you're pretty.
No, I don't think so. People are going to be mad. Just like what I said about Alec.
Wow. What's going on?
Alex is not Jewish.
He's not Jewish. Okay.
I told you he wasn't. Sorry, stop, people are saying. Oh, no. Go pray, sorry.
Internet Goldstein. Get it?
No.
Goldstein is a Jewish name.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you get away with stuff that I would never.
Yeah, but maybe people know, like, I'm not trying to be mean in my heart.
Well, most
like,
of these...
we've had discussions about black-white race stuff that, like, I told you I wouldn't dare have the conversations publicly because I'm just saying what comes in my mind and in my heart, and I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not hateful about it, but that I have questions.
That's cool, Hef. People ask us what denomination we are, and we generally never say. I'm not really a big denominational guy, per se.
Oh, wow, he grew up Methodist.
Doesn't advocating for the death penalty as a Christian go against the principle of true forgiveness? So there's a passage in Romans 13. It says, a soldier doesn't bear the sword in vain. He is God's servant to dispense vengeance on the wrongdoer. And the question becomes, is that a justification of the death penalty? Or is that a simply descriptive, this is the role of a soldier in a given society? I don't think we should be actively advocating for the death penalty. I just think from a biblical perspective, if I'm being as absolutely brutally honest with the New Testament as possible, I don't think you can make a New Testament case that the death penalty is completely and totally abolished. I do think you can make a strong case that Christians should not participate in the execution of the death penalty.
Under what circumstances would there be a death penalty? If you're thinking you can build a case from the New Testament on that.
Well, it says he's God's servant to dispense justice.
I know it says that he doesn't bear the sword in vain.
He's God's servant to dispense justice to the wrongdoer.
Right.
Well, he's dispensing justice with the sword.
Right. Oh, I know.
So
I know.
He's killing
I'm
people.
agreeing with you. I'm just saying what would be the circumstances. I know the verse.
What would be I mean, capital offenses, murder. I think rape. You could make an easy case that rape deserves a death penalty. People who do like really crazy stuff to kids. But for me, you would have to prove beyond a literal crazy shadow of a doubt that it was the person.
See, that's a thing that like alarms me. But if you say, but you said he's God's, that doesn't mean he knows that he is.
No. Cyrus was God's servant.
Yeah,
he had no idea.
Somebody was asking, I guess you were talking about some books or something last week. Wet hair, don't care. Yeah, you guys, I wanted to be here.
I like the wet hair look.
Seriously, there wasn't any towels. I had to take a wet towel out of the dryer. I'm like, these kids!
Yikes. Zoe.
I don't know. I mean, I guess you referenced some books last week or some writings, and the person was like wondering, I don't know where it went, but they were wondering, they said that they'll email you again because they wanted to like look at those writings.
Lighting's good. It looks crisp. Thank you.
Yeah.
Blame that on Sori. She does all our aesthetics. I don't know.
Okay. Well, ask again.
Here's an increase. If someone killed someone in your family and the wrongdoer got the death penalty as a family member of the victim, could you watch it? You can watch it be done. Would you? I would like to think that...
Wait a minute. What? What was that?
When you kill... if somebody's getting the death penalty and they killed one of your family members, you get to watch the person die.
No. No. That's a definite no for me.
I would like to think that
I don't think that I would even...
We'd be like trying to get him off or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we'd be trying to...
I really feel like I would be so angry and so hurt, but I believe that God would work through that supernaturally and that...
Yeah, there's that Muslim case in Iran.
That's literally what I was just thinking about.
Where this woman lost her... This guy killed... There was a scuffle at a market, and the guy killed her son. And so he was up for hanging. And in Islam, you can either go for forgiveness or qisas. Qisas means basically retribution. And so... But only the immediate family gets to make that call. And... so he's got the rope around his neck, and the mom of the victim goes up and smacks him in the face and then takes the rope off and asks for mercy for her killer. So I would like to think that I would be...
I know, me too.
Be able to be like that Muslim lady if somebody did that to my child, but I'm not sure if I would hope. But I definitely wouldn't watch somebody die.
You know what's weird? I could definitely see myself if I have a weapon and I came in and somebody was hurting one of our kids. I could see myself shooting them if I had a weapon in my hand.
Right.
But to go over there and to have them hanging, and I don't think that I would.
And to just watch somebody die?
No, I don't think that I could do it.
I don't think.
No.
I don't think I have that.
I don't think so.
I don't think I have that within me. I think live action. If you're
that's what I'm saying.
If you're in the middle of something, that's different.
Because when I'm upset about something, I'll act differently than the next morning. Give me some time to think and whatever.
That's a good point, though, from Alec. We don't see rich people getting the death penalty.
imperfect justice.
If the state has the power to kill you, what power does it not have? That's good. I don't know what the statistics are, but I mean, my assumption is that the execution of the death penalty in our country is probably, like everything else, slated a certain way. But I don't have those numbers.
I think it was Sarah Castor also said thanks for doing it earlier so they could jump in.
Yes, I do. Not sure if everyone remembers 90s internet, but sending each other messed up videos of people dying is something kids did back in the day. Ogre, steak and cheese, rotten sites like that.
What? That's terrible.
Tina! I think too many Americans confuse totalitarianism with socialism. I think that's true.
Where do you stand on the gun debate, Vin?
Where do I stand on the gun debate? Where do I stand on the gun debate? I think my stance on the gun debate is... Hey! Look up Catholic social teaching.
Zabi?
Rejects capitalism. Oh, that's interesting. What's my stance on the gun debate? My stance on the gun debate is I think we have a problem, and I'm with Jimmy Kimmel. You know, when he's up there, he's crying, and all the right-wing people are making fun of him. I think that's terrible. I think it's good that we have elements in our society that are not desensitized to people getting mowed down. I do think we have a problem, but I just don't know how to fix it. In other words, like, the people who are saying we need to have gun restrictions and things like that, I'm with them. If it would stop all these people from getting mowed down. I just don't see how all these gun restrictions are going to accomplish that. So that's what I'd like to know. I'd like to know, how do you accomplish that? How would any gun restriction accomplish people not being killed in mass doses? And if we can figure that out, I'm all for it. Ban it. You know, I'm sure people want to strangle me because of their Second Amendment rights, but if there is some law that we could have passed that would have made it so that guy didn't mow down 60 of my countrymen or I don't even know. He shot like 500 people got hit. And like 50, 60 people died. If there is a way to make that happen, I'm with it.
Oh, I got my shirt at a Martin store, but I loved the shirt, but I listened to the song and I thought it was stupid. Sorry if you're a Lady Gaga fan. I didn't even know what it said on it. I didn't even know it was Lady Gaga. I brought it home and I was like, what is this? He was like, that's Lady Gaga. I'm like, I think I've heard that she's... So then I put it on and I was like, oh.
Habib, what do you want to call it about, my guy?
Did you see this, the one back here that wanted to call in too?
Use Australia as an example. Yeah. I'm not sure that there's a very good analogy between Australia and America because Americans are so entrenched.
Whoa, Alex.
Whoa. Much love.
Thank you.
Good luck at class, my guy. I'm not sure that you can make that analogy because Americans, like, it's part of who they are as people. Like, I don't think people from other countries understand how... Like, I really believe that if the government tried to confiscate people's guns, that there'd be a literal bloodbath in America. Mm-hmm. You can't do that shit. And then you've got, you know, the water of liberty must be, you know, the tree of liberty must sometimes be watered with the blood of tyrants. There's like too much shit at the beginning stages when we were breaking the eggs and making the cake. Mm-hmm. That shit was wired into the American psychology. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure that Australia is a good template to follow. Here's my guy. Who's this? Hello. Hello, Clarice.
Hey, Vin, how you going?
How you doing, big guy?
Yeah, good, man, good. Like, they're all talking about saying use Australia as, the...
template for guns.
Country that implemented it, okay? What you have to understand is the gun laws that we have here aren't very different to the ones that you guys currently have. Okay? So basically, there's certain okay, you can still own rifles here, you can still own shotguns, you can still own handguns. Okay, the only way you can own a handgun here is you need to be signed up for a club, and you need to have held your license for a certain amount of time. Now, in America, you have to go through an FBI check to get any sort of gun, and you have to be over the age of 21, I believe, right? It's no different than here. Basically, what happened was there was a mass shooting in 1996, and they canned all automatic weapons. They brought back all rifles and everything, and then they brought in a licensing system. Okay? So it's not, our laws here aren't that different to what you guys have there. People don't understand that.
Don't you need to own farming property and such in Australia?
No, you don't need to own farming property to be able to own a rifle.
Okay.
Okay, so to be able to own a rifle in Australia, you only need to be signed up with a gun club. That's it.
Whoa.
Okay, so you need to pass the original exam or whatever it is. You need to go in, prove that you're not a psychopath, so they need to do your background check and all that stuff, and then you can own a gun. The only difference is if you're a level 5 security guard, you can own a handgun. You can't openly carry unless you're at work, so it's the same with police here. Other than that, it needs to be in a lockbox. It can't just be sitting around your house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not that different, man. People don't understand that. It's really not that different.
Well,
so don't use Australia as the country that did it. You know what I mean? Because it's not.
I see.
Yeah.
All right, my guy. I appreciate you.
I was just trying to clarify for you, man. But yeah, take it easy. Have a good day.
Yeah, have a good one.
Whoa, Renzabi. Is that the same person?
Giren Zabi, I think, inshallah.
Okay. I like the Nordic model, little market intervention, but good state social programs. The correct word is social democrat, created by Otto
von Bismarck. Yeah. I think right now we're talking about guns. I'm just going to let the thing go where the people
Thank
take
you
us.
for the...
Thank you for that. Australia doesn't have a gun culture. Yeah, man, I feel like, you know, even if they went like really crazy in Australia and said no guns, it's just, you know, like I was born in Jamaica and there's no gun culture in Jamaica. Like if you like, there's Bodman, there's gangsters who have guns, but like if the police find you with a gun, they'll take care of you right on the street.
Oh, really?
Simple. Like no trial, none of that shit.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, they'll take care of you right there. So like I don't think people realize like how unique American culture is. Like as far as the gun culture, and it's not even like, oh, we like our guns. It's we have guns so that if our government goes crazy, we can go light them up because we're always going to outnumber the government. So like that's what's happening with Americans and guns. What's up, Chris?
Whoa, thank you, Chris. He wants to play Madden with you one night.
I'll crush him.
We says, does it freak you out that internet archaeologists will be looking at your videos 500 years from now? Actually, I kind of like the idea.
I don't think they're going to be looking at us.
How do you know? They could be like, these are people that started talking about making a better world.
We're a relatively small channel.
You don't know how big it will get.
Hey, Destiny, I'm sorry you're having a rough day, my friend. Things are turning up.
That stinks.
Because of the Port Arthur massacre, the government said, you guys ain't having guns now. And most of Australia went, yeah, fair enough. Okay, but Americans aren't like that. Now, Americans, that's my people. Those are my countrymen. I'm not dissing them. I'm just saying Americans aren't like that. That's not how they operate.
You think you can crush him at Madden? You got bodied so hard your insurance didn't cover it and your stream went down. You're weak, Vin.
I love Ben.
Well, to understand, even Karl Marx is pro-gun.
Whoa.
Thank you for the chat. Thank you very much. That's so true, Alec.
Well, what did Alex say?
Every day is a rough day if you don't have chicken tendies.
That's because your politicians are bought by the enemy. All right.
I love me too. Thank you, Charles.
Yeah, like Australians are like, oh shit, maybe we should do something about these massacres. Americans, like, as soon as you talk about gun control in the media,
yeah,
like gun sales always spike like crazy.
Yep.
You can't have guns for self-defense.
America is awesome. I don't like it when people talk against America. I mean, I have my like qualms, but I'm like, there is a lot to love here. Killer Pickle. My friend had a great point about this. If someone kills someone with a spoon, should we ban spoons? There's a bigger issue here.
Yeah, Killer Pickle. That's
yeah,
funny.
But
I always
the
like
point
people
of a
with funny
spoon
names.
is for your soup and your cereal. It's not, the intended purpose of a spoon is not to kill. There's no intended purpose for guns other than to kill. I mean, people do target practice, but that's so they can be better killers. I don't think that's comparable. What do you think?
Well, I mean,
anything can be made into a weapon. We're not going to ban the whole world, but...
Yeah, I mean, I don't... Yeah. Do you think the media coverage and spotlight given the shootings have contributed to the frequency of their occurrences?
People ban pickles. No soup for you.
Yes, Lee, I do. I also think we should ban pickles.
No.
No, I do. I really do.
I know
think
you
pickles
do.
Should be banned.
I can't even enjoy an Italian when you're sitting there.
You can enjoy it.
No, it's not as enjoyable. Right.
Somebody's calling us.
Okay. Mike.
Hello.
Hey, Vin. Hey, Sori. It's Mike.
Hey, nice. How's it going?
Good, guys. How are you?
Thank you, Jay. We're doing good. I'm glad that you introduced yourself as Mike because I said we got Mike on the line, and I didn't want to make the big mistake like Vin here did.
Yeah, it's all good.
I don't think that guy ever came back, to be honest with you.
He didn't.
He never came back.
That's why everybody's asking about him.
Now, I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in, because I'm from Canada, and our gun laws are pretty strict here. Like, my dad's a retired police officer, and as far as I know, from what I can understand with our gun laws here, is we're allowed to have hunting rifles, but they have to be registered. But to have we can't have any guns like AR-15s or anything like that. Those are considered ones that are not allowed in our country. And as far as handguns, I'm not too sure. I think we can have them, but they have to be locked away, and we don't have conceal and carry like you guys have in the States there. So.
You don't have concealed carry?
No, we don't have conceal and carry, no.
Okay. Yeah.
And getting back to the other bit you guys were talking about with the health care. Yeah, we got health care, like our health care, is free, and sometimes the waiting lists are long. Like I'm going for surgery next month, and originally I was supposed to wait a year, but someone bowed out and I was able to get in quickly, and that's just my luck of the draw. So, and the death penalty thing, we don't have that here. Sometimes I wish we did. Certain criminals in Canada, I believe, do deserve the death penalty, but I myself could not see myself pulling the switch, being the fact that I am a born-again Christian.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does infuriate me, especially with some of the crimes that I have heard of in my country here. So, especially when it comes to young children. I mean, I've had a lot of friends that have had friends that have died at a young age, due to, getting beaten by other kids or so on and so forth. And it's it's a touchy subject for a lot of people, and I've had lots of debate with my dad about that over the years, about having the death penalty brought back to Canada. And he even said, in limited cases, he thinks that it would be okay to bring it back into our country. But he said he doubts it'll never happen. So, I mean, we've got murderers like Willie Picton and the Green River Killer and guys like that in Canada, and they should have been led to pasture years ago. But
I hear you.
Unfortunately, don't. So,
all right, man. I appreciate you.
all right, thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah, I just haven't really heard a good solution to the gun question. Elio Mike is here. Is there? Let me ask this question: is there anybody that believes that we should ban guns for the safety of other people? Thank you so much, the engaged few. What's this?
Mark's like, I hope you got my package.
Is this
I
Mark?
did. Yeah. I did get the package.
We should open it.
Okay, I want to. And I'm now gonna set up my hair appointment to have my hair colored. I decided not to cut it. I'm just gonna color it. Well, I'm
Okay.
gonna trim it, but.
Elio Mike, message 57 once you're in, because I need somebody to debate Elio Mike. Now, Elio Mike is a law enforcement officer. He knows his shit. So, please, just come on. Okay, Elio Mike is here. Great.
We did get another package too that we can open.
Did?
Yeah, you want to
Mashallah
open it?
tabarak. The one that wrote that little kind
Yeah,
note.
yeah.
Okay, hold on. I
Okay.
wanna do some things first. Okay, guys.
Very excited, Mark.
Okay, so we're gonna have a mini debate, a mini exchange of don't do that.
What? You said I could open it, and I'm so excited.
But I want to show the people.
I wanted to smell it. The kids are gonna love these. Okay, well I have to wait. Fixed poverty and crime will go down. Even gun crime.
This guy's name is Glock 19.
Oh, it's that guy again. Or girl. This name.
Thank you so much, Garen
I'm
Zavi.
gonna call you G.
GZ.
Yo.
Instead of Jay-Z, GZ. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do.
I just want to smell it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just can you just let me say what we're gonna do?
Go ahead.
And then we can do your thingy, okay?
All right.
Okay. So I need we're gonna have Elio Mike, okay? And Elio Mike is a law enforcement officer. I'm assuming he's a Pro 2A guy. And then I need somebody that's against private gun ownership of assault weapons, but please, I need you to have a well-reasoned, well-thought-out argument, okay? So, thank you so much, Jan.
Yeah,
Eric
thank
Tiwaz.
you.
Okay, so we're gonna talk, we're gonna disagree, we're gonna disagree agreeably, we're gonna love each other, we're gonna show the world how to disagree without losing our minds, right? Okay, good. So now, let's look at the bubble wrap.
Yes. Perfect. Enough pieces for all the kids. No, wait.
Well, I wanted the bubble wrap.
All right. Whoa. So these are, hey, I have to talk. These are Soma products, but I'll let you guys know how they work. Somebody's calling you. Why don't you focus on that? Oh, it smells so yummy.
Can I smell it?
Yeah.
So do we advertise this product?
We will advertise it. I have to try it
Soma hair technology.
Yeah.
Hair technology. Is this one of our people?
Smells like lime.
Is it his business?
I think he's a part owner. I think that him and somebody else own it, but I don't want to say that if that's not true. I don't want to get him in trouble if he's not a part owner. But I think he is. So he sent me this stuff that's supposed to be great for when I color my hair. I'm gonna put some red in my hair. Ooh. This is a clarifying shampoo. There's a clarifying shampoo, and then there's color protecting shampoo and conditioner that smells like lime. Do you think it smells like lime? Is that what you think?
Yeah, it smells like, remember the ice pop?
Yes!
The lime green ice pop?
And I love stuff that smells fruity.
That's terrible. I want to eat that.
Nope, don't do that. You're not going to want to do that.
Yes, Michael Henderson.
Thank you, Mark. I'm very excited to try this stuff. And you guys are, somebody said, Sori looks like a kid at Christmas. I love presents. And I've always felt like that you shouldn't make too big of a deal when you get presents because then it makes you look materialistic. But I feel like I can show my true joy for stuff because of this channel. So, guys, I'm very happy right now. And I can't wait to try my shampoos.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know how it goes, and if I think that I've colored my hair before and used color protector shampoo, so I'll let you know if it works good. So I'll fill you in. If you don't get a commercial, just do some deductive reasoning.
I will debate the cop. Okay. Alec. Okay, so we got Sarcaster. We know Alec can get busy. Alec, do you believe in Alec's a libertarian, so Alec wants us to have RPGs and shit. Yeah, I don't think it's good to compare other countries to America because
they don't have the history we have of violence.
Well, it's not. It's not that we have a history of violence per se. It's
yes,
just,
Destiny. I'm gonna do the black and the red.
It's just that guns have a higher metaphorical meaning to Americans than everybody else.
I keep wanting to thank Mark. I keep thanking him, but like I'm so very excited about it.
Kieran Zabi.
Wow.
Whoa, thank you very much.
Yeah. Can you read that?
Historically, most Marxists, anarchists, and capitalists are pro-gun because they believe the state to be destructive. Well.
What do you think about that?
That makes sense.
What is he saying?
Marxists, anarchists, and capitalists generally are pro-gun because they believe the state is destructive, and so you need guns in the hands of the citizenry to protect them from the tyranny of the state.
Mm-hmm. No, I haven't decided if I'm going to cut it or not. The kids don't want me to cut it. They're like, we don't want our mom with short hair again. So I'm not sure. I might cut it, I might not. Do you have a preference?
So what you're saying, Vin, is that you cannot change ideas. No, I didn't say that. That's why we're having the discussion in the first place.
Where'd you guys go last night? I was so alone, LOL. Oh. Honestly, I wasn't feeling very good. Like, sometimes I get really low blood pressure, and I was, like, gonna muscle through it for you guys. But when everything kept cutting out, I was like, okay. And, like, I just went to sleep. I felt like I couldn't feel any feeling in my hands. I kept waking up with my hands feeling like they were suffocating. It was the weirdest thing. So I literally went to sleep. Vin, like, hung out. He was alone, too. Poor guy. So there's a chart?
Don't cut your hair. It's haram in Christianity.
Yeah, I know.
Kidman, vinandsori@gmail.com. vinandsori@gmail.com.
I don't shave you just don't shave your sides or the talk to your manager haircut. No, I wasn't going to shave the sides. Yeah, Cassandra, I'm feeling better. I felt better basically when I woke up, but I slept for like 9 hours, I think. And I don't usually get to have that much sleep, but I was like done.
Little bit of a lag. I think we're back.
Pony, please don't cut it. Yeah, but did you see the picture?
Whoa.
I don't even know what that symbol is, but thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
I think we need to get wise to these things.
Long time lurker. I appreciate it.
A long time lurker. That's so funny.
And scary. Okay.
Vin says I'm scary, but I'm pretty, so you can't tell.
What's up, Matt? Yeah,
So-
it's true.
I was thinking about that the other day, and I was kind of creeped out by my
You're
own
extremely
self.
like the conversations that we have. Like
I know.
you're extremely terrifying.
Sometimes I'm like, why am I so honest with him?
Black Dahlia is
Stop
coming
doing
pretty.
this.
Socialism is a cancer.
Sleep is so crucial. I'm glad you guys streamed early for your sakes. I actually like the late night streams. It feels cozy. Everybody say pickles!
No!
Love you guys. You're so open-minded, and your community is great. Keep up the awesome content. Thank you, Killer Pickle.
I'll forgive you for your picklishness.
Dread your hair, sorry. You know what? I'll let you guys in on a secret. I'm OCD, and dreads, I wouldn't be able to, I could not do it. But I love the look of, like, good dreads, like good clean looking dreads. But when they get all mashed and it's starting to look like one, no good. But if you can like rock those like actual good solid dreads, I think that's badass. But I'm too OCD for that. I like to.
Yeah, and I think once we go full time, then we'll be able to do firesides like very, very, like much earlier in a much more structured way.
Mm-hmm. We're hoping that that would. Yeah, the structure. Ben thinks he can prove that everybody's a socialist. Whoa, that person again. Can you read that?
Giran Zabi. By the way, I spent enough to where I want to ask y'all to check out Salem's Lot Enigma. As for guns, I believe crime would go down if we tackled poverty. Crime would probably go down if we tackled poverty. Maybe. Ben Webb, call in. Okay, so right now, I just want to know who believes that by stricter gun control laws, we could limit the amount of gun deaths in America. That's what I want to know. If you're that guy, I want you to call in because I've got Elio Mike on the line and we can talk.
Okay. This question keeps getting asked, and I always forget like the actual answer, but I can remember some of it. Can God microwave a burrito so hot that he can't himself eat it? That's the like, or can God make a rock so big he can't lift it? There's plenty of things that God can't do, like God can't sin, stuff like that. And then what's the rest of the answer? Like, how is that a problem? Maybe we think God should be able to do anything, but there's certain things that he won't do because they don't line up with his character.
I don't know. I was talking about the gun, so I'm not focusing on that.
They keep asking it.
Sarah Castor.
That's the best I can do for you. You'll have to ask again when Vin is focused.
Okay, Sarah Castor. I think we have a winner. She wants it?
For what? That's a she?
Pretty sure Sarah Castor is a she.
That's so weird. I always thought that was a guy.
Really?
You already went past Sarah Castor multiple
Sarah
times.
Castor.
Oh.
Alright, who's this? See if this is Elio Mike. Hello!
I am not a she, LOL. Okay, that's what I thought.
Hello, who's this? Hello?
Hello?
He
What's
could
up?
if he wanted to, Simon. But then he wouldn't be in this chair so often for you guys.
Hello? Hey, are you available?
There you go, Nexus. Thank you.
What did Nexus say?
Sorry, I reckon you nailed it, actually. God can do anything but chooses. It's all about choice. For us, too, he says, but... Yeah,
Hello?
he chooses within his character. Yeah.
Are you available?
Who's this?
This is Elio Mike.
Elio Mike. Hold on.
Oh, Lucian,
Okay,
what's the
so
hair
Mike,
for?
are you on? Elio Mike, are you on right now?
I am on right now.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we got Elio Mike. Mike, I'm trying to get you a debate partner.
No problem.
Dude, you sound like a Marine. God Almighty. Listen to this guy. No problem.
Yeah.
Roger that. Okay, so I need somebody to get on and debate Elio Mike with me, please. Sarah, I think it was Sarah Castor that called us, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who is a man?
Mitchell Hearn. All you have to do is Vin and Sori at what is it?
Vin
Skype.
and space Sori. But you gotta go to Skype. Can you repeat what the topic is? Because people are asking.
You don't need a phone. You don't need a phone number, Mitchell. All you need is Skype.
Download Skype.
Vin and space Sori.
I keep seeing that meme every time you say it.
Or are you in the space cadet suit?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it, Adra.
We'll be here for a while. Yeah, there it is. Space Sori. Yeah. I'm not a beagle, by the way.
The topic is gun control. Okay, here we go. Did somebody just call me? MP5? Or is that you, Mike?
Yeah.
Oh, that was pretty smart. Name yourself MP5.
MP50.
Yeah.
That's cool, Michael.
I'm waiting for somebody. Come on, guys.
No. What I can confirm as Space Sori is that we did not go to the moon. Okay?
I'll debate that too with you, sorry.
Yes, Luthien, I know you said that you're making a hair. Oh, don't cut your... I'm making you a hair fork. And I asked what a hair fork is. I said, was that like the Little Mermaid's hairbrush? Remember she found a fork in the bottom... You're not listening. She found a fork in the bottom of the ocean, and she was like, what? She didn't know what it was, and she used it as a hairbrush.
Okay. Mike, this is amazing. I thought for sure we'd have a lot of people chomping at the bit to get in on this gun control discussion.
Well, I mean, I can get into my argument, and that might fire some people up.
Look.
Okay. Yes. Okay, so Elio, Mike, you have the floor. Wait. No. Elio, Mike, you have the floor, sir. So tell us why gun control would not work, or even if it should work, we shouldn't have it.
Well, there's the standard argument that, if you make guns illegal, criminals are the only ones with guns. It also goes into the right to self-defense as well, which I believe is an inalienable right that we all have that the government can't restrict. One of the first things you see as a cop, from the very first day you're on the street, is that 99 times out of 100 or more than that, you get to the calls too late. You don't ever get there in time to save anybody or to protect anybody. You're always there to clean up the mess afterwards. The amount of time it takes for us to respond, people should have the right to defend themselves during that time. As long as they're, legal possessors, have the right to legally possess a firearm. Too many times I've been to calls where if somebody did have a firearm or any other type means of self-defense, they could have protected themselves, but either they didn't or, well, where I live, the laws aren't that restrictive, but still a lot of people, just don't carry. As far as the Second Amendment goes, people always fall back on the militia argument that guns were only meant to be used in a well-organized militia. But back in those days, a militia meant the armed citizenry. The actual national army was codified in another part of the Constitution, so the term militia has nothing to do with a nationalized army. It had to do with the armed citizenry. And the intent of the Founding Fathers was to have an armed citizenry balance out the national army, which is another reason why we should be allowed to possess modern sporting rifles in this day and age, because part of their intent of the Founding Fathers was that the average legal citizen should have the access to the kind of weaponry that's commensurate with what an average soldier would have. That's the only way you can get that kind of a balance. And I just think also, any kind of restrictive gun control we've seen in, major urban areas does not lower crime. It actually increases the amount of violent crime.
So, why, since we're not getting any callers, why is it...
We had one, but he said that...
Hold on, Elio, Mike. Okay, so who was it? Who said?
It was your girl, Sarah Castor. I mean... He said that he called in, and then when he called in, you dismissed it. So try again, Sir Castor.
Hold on. I'm going to add a call. Hold on.
Sure.
That was a very succinct and very convincing argument. I want guns back in America now. You changed my mind. Actually...
We also go into the kind of societies that are colonists. The people that came to America were fleeing. Were all countries where only the top 1/10 of 1% had access to firearms at the time, or even swords. Swords back then were only legal for the actual elite to own. If you were a peasant and you got caught with a sword, it was an instant death sentence. So all of these people fleeing that kind of persecution all came here because they were fleeing, the muzzle of a gun, and they realized that when they got here, by having access to their own guns, they were able to protect their civil liberties.
Okay. So that's 2.
That's what makes America's DNA the rest of the world too. Consider the type of person that led those countries came here with that kind of independent, that mentality that nobody's going to tell me how to think or how to believe or any of that. And so that kind of independent DNA is just so ingrained in America that, our desire to have the means of self-defense is never ever going to go away. So any kind of restrictive gun control that ever gets passed, I personally believe will just lead straight to civil war.
Well, yeah, that's what I think people don't understand about America when they talk about Australia and all these other countries. Like,
never happened here.
It's America. Like,
if they try to do a buyback of modern sporting rifles, what people call assault weapons, which is a whole term, maybe 10% of the 40 million of them would get turned in. And then what do you do? How do you get those other 90%? You send cops that are going to go out and get them.
Okay. Hey, Mike, hold on for a second. Do we have another caller on the line?
Yes, we have.
Okay. Try not to speak so close to your phone, my brother.
Is it better now?
Is he on speaker? Are you on speaker?
Are you on speaker?
No, let me change it.
Yeah, it's hard to hear you.
Okay, and what should we call you, my friend?
So is it better now?
There
much
you go.
better.
All right. What'd you do?
Okay, nice.
What's your...
I'm fine. You people have to get, I'm Peter from Vienna. Sarah Caster is Peter from Vienna.
Oh, okay. Sarah Caster's Peter from Vienna. Okay. Now, very good. So, Peter, did you hear the arguments that Elio Mike just made?
Basically, yes.
Okay, now you do...
A dropout about 20 seconds because I had to turn off the screen because of the delay,
Got it. You do know that Elio Mike is speaking from experience. He's a retired law enforcement officer.
Yeah, I totally get that, yeah.
So he's
gonna rip me apart, I fear, but here's the basic thing. You can approach this topic and discussion from 2 viewpoints. The one is you talk about it in theory, and the other approach is you talk about it just from the point of view as America is in right now, which is much harder. Because, I live in Austria, we have a very strict gun law, and to be honest, I own a handgun by myself, so that's that. But I'm owning it within my, being it a privilege. It's not a right. It's a big difference, And that's something that should be maybe discussed. Is the Second Amendment really this holy thing that will never be touched ever, or can we debate it? And another thing that's I totally believe in. I don't know if you've seen it, and if not, I highly recommend it. There is a documentation out there on YouTube even about a LA cop visiting Norway, and is totally blown away by what he sees there because it's so different. It's a cultural clash.
Okay.
Has anyone seen that?
What's it called?
Kai in the chat, my man, please put out the name because he knows what it is and he even sent it to you via mail.
Okay. Tell me the name of it again.
Don't let it hold you up. The point there is they went on patrol with the Norway cops, and you have to understand they have an MP5, I guess, but it's locked in the car, and before they're allowed to use it, they have to call it in, basically. So we have an emergency. Are we allowed to use the rifle? And they say, okay, yeah, let's do it. So what they do is they approach the criminal by basically talking, trying to de-escalate. They have a strict protocol, even if the guy is armed with a knife or something, because, of course, not if he's taking a hostage, that's another situation. But let's say he's robbed a gas station or something. So that's a whole different thing, because you have to understand, if you approach a criminal, in any case, with a drawn weapon, he is put in a corner. He has nothing to lose but react with the exact same kind of force, weapon force. Or in most cases, he tries to be ahead one step, so he uses violence in the first place
And you have a vicious circle going on, because the criminal expects any cop who is approaching him to use lethal force. So how is he gonna react? He has nothing to lose, basically. But the thing that the Norway cops do is to approach him by de-escalation, and then from there raise the stakes point to point, if you get what I mean. So I found it pretty interesting, but here's the problem. In America, it seems kind of a luxury to me to try this approach, because I totally get that every officer on duty is risking his life by simply controlling a car when he wants to see the paper of the driver license, because he can never know if this guy is totally crazy and armed to the teeth. So there's your basic problem. How can you get these two points together? And my last point is, I visited Switzerland, it's my neighbor country, and let me get that to you. Those guys are armed to the teeth, because in their military service, they have to learn to cope with a rifle, and they are allowed to get this rifle home, but with the exception that ammunition has to be separated from the gun and so on, and they have to take a yearly training with that rifle. So they're pretty well educated, and you don't have any of the numbers, mass shootings or whatsoever, and kills and gun deaths like you have in the US. So it's pretty much a very strong case for a Western civilized country who has a gun situation comparable to the US, but with higher restrictions. And how shall I put it? You are forced to be more educated and more responsible with your gun. You're not left alone with it. Let's put it that way. And it seems to kind of work. And that's my last and final statement. I think there is a solution in the US, but I think it will take some generations to work. I can't come up with anything that will work within, let's say, 10 to 20 years. I don't believe in that.
Okay, so, well, I know you said that was your statement, but stay on the line, because I want to hear what Elio Mike has to say, and then I want you to respond to his response. So, Elio Mike, what's your thoughts on what you just heard?
Well, he got into a whole part about police procedures, both in Europe and here, and we can certainly get into that. That's a whole other set of topics. As far as the Second Amendment and whether or not that's a sacred text or not, there's a reason why it comes right after the First Amendment. The First Amendment is about freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. None of those things can be guaranteed without the Second Amendment. None of those things can be guaranteed without an armed citizenry there to balance the potential for a tyrannical government taking over. And so they go hand in hand. So you cannot get rid of the Second Amendment without threatening the First Amendment. It's just impossible.
Okay, now, Mike, let me push back on you. What about other countries in the Western world?
No other countries have anything like the First Amendment.
Say again?
No other countries in Europe have anything like the First Amendment.
Okay. What do you mean by that? There's no free speech in other countries?
They don't have a codified free speech in their constitution. They don't have codified, like we do. England doesn't, France doesn't. Lots of those countries don't have a codified free speech statute in their constitutions. And so that was one of the big things that they pointed at, that our founding fathers wanted to have in there. But to go along with that, they also made it sure that they put in the Second Amendment, codifying the citizens' right to have arms. And we're talking about what kind of arms. A lot of people have cannons back then. And the idea that they didn't have ideas about semi-automatic or fully automatic weapons isn't true either. Those type of weapons existed back then. They wrote it in a way that the citizenry would be a balance to the national army.
Isn't free... So Chris Baker saying that free speech is the first article in the Dutch Constitution.
Again, I haven't read every constitution in there, but mainly I talk about England and France and a few of the others, Germany, the big ones. There could be some smaller countries that actually have the right to free speech, being
okay.
by the Constitution. There could be some, but the big ones I'm talking about, the ones that we deal with mostly, people are getting locked up for jokes in a lot of those countries.
Well, Ulf John, who's from the UK, says, yeah, people are getting in prison here in Britain for saying the wrong thing about a certain religion.
That's wow.
Right.
That's wild.
Right. Oh yeah, they almost practically have the constant the police force there are basically enforcing Sharia law in a lot of areas in England.
But how do you? Let me ask you this question.
Something there?
Go ahead, Peter. Go. Rebuttal.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, here's the thing. You're making a connection between the First Amendment and the Second. And I don't think it's basic logic as you put it. Although I totally get it and I totally understand it. But I will say this. I think the last century has proven you simply can't rule a former Western country against the will of the population. I don't think that works at all. And that's not meaning they have to be armed. That's not what I'm saying. Because maybe look at India, maybe look at what Gandhi did, non-violence. You get the drift. If the people are against you, and this is the whole tyranny argument to hold your government in check. I mean, really, come on. If that's the basic stance that you have to your government and the mistrust and skepticism you hold, that's not a healthy thing.
That's not American DNA, though. That's hardened into American DNA. It's distrust of government. That's why. And maybe we are onto something there, because maybe there is some reason for the whole situation, if you get what I mean. Because I'm skeptical about my government, but I do basically trust them. And I believe in all my people that if the government does something really stupid or is going against the free speech or the freedom of press or whatsoever, people are on the street, man, and the pressure is rising. And the final point, and then I'm done. The final point, the absolute monopoly on really effective weapons is still at the military and in government's hands. So you can own your rifle, okay? But what's the sense if they come with tanks and you get the point. So it's still not equal. It's a little more shifted than in European countries, and I'll give you that. But is it really helping? The history of insurgencies throughout the 20th century proved you wrong on that. Almost every insurgency against modern militaries has been successful.
Yeah, but so Mike, this is an actual. Thank you so much, Peter. Mike, I think somebody else wants to call in and
absolutely
challenge some of your notions.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Peter,
really interesting discussion. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much, Peter. You're the man.
Bye, Peter.
Appreciate it also. See ya. Bye.
So, Mike, this is one of the things that's kind of strange to me. So, are you saying that a localized militia in Nebraska, if a DevGru team came after them, you think that localized militia would be able to repel that DevGru team?
Well, I mean, you're talking similar weaponry against each other?
Sure.
Well, part of it would have to be, numbers. If you're talking about a 24-man squad versus when you say the militia, it could be hundreds of people. We're talking about 40 million AR owners in this country, and another 150 million other types of weapons. Versus if they were able to mobilize every cop and every military person in the country, you're only talking 2 million armed people that are working for the government.
Yeah, but you got Hellfire missiles, F-16s, helicopters, stealth copters.
Well, we can get into the tactics of an insurgency, but those a main force army needs to eat, and needs fuel, and needs weapon ammo, and it's very, very easy for insurgencies to cut all those off.
Yeah, I have a hard time with that, my guy. The American Air Force. Are you trying to tell me that if the militia in Augusta decided that they were going to rise up against America, or whatever. And
well, here's my argument. He was also mentioning Gandhi. Gandhi used nonviolence against an already authoritarian government that was controlling India, and so they didn't have weapons to begin with. The Indians, so they had their only means that they have. I'm saying that the armed citizenry will actually prevent the tyrannical government from even forming. It makes it a non-starter, and so it wouldn't even get to the point of military turning on the people or Air Force dropping bombs on small militia units. I mean, it wouldn't even get to that point.
It wouldn't get to that point. Why? Why wouldn't it get to that point?
I just don't think they see it as a winning proposition. When you have tens of millions of armed people rising up, because of course, if it was a small militia somewhere, that might be the flashpoint. If you had some small militia somewhere that was going to resist some type of law that they didn't agree with, and there was I'm not for these actual small organized militias. I can't say I'm even really behind a lot of those movements. I'm more just everyday people, having the weapons locked away or having them, in their having access to them, because that's what would prevent, the massive takeover. There's a reason why, like when in World War II, they talked about the Japanese talked about actually invading the west coast of America, but they decided against it because there would be a rifle behind every blade of grass,
right.
The way they described it.
Right, but we've got bases and all that shit here, Mike.
Sure.
It's not analogous. I
understand, but there's a reason why insurgencies actually work throughout the last century, because you can cut off bases, you can cut off supply lines, you can cut off power, you can cut off all kinds of things. They can make it very difficult to get food into urban environments. They could make it very, very difficult for the government to function.
Mike, I think that you come from a military background, and
I do.
I think that you have a certain type of mind, and I think you are overestimating U.S. citizenry, my guy.
Well, you got to remember how many tens of millions of former veterans are out there that believe in the Second Amendment with the same type of expertise.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give you that. I think there's a lot of complexities. I just still think it's a
absolutely.
Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that a U.S. citizen, if he could afford it, should be able to have an atomic weapon?
No.
Well, why? It says right to bear arms. Isn't that a form of arms?
But what I explained before was in part of the founding fathers in their letters that they wrote to each other for why they made the Second Amendment. It was about making the average citizen comparable to the average soldier. So we're talking about average infantry weapons that are issued to the average soldier.
Okay, that's fair. And Ulf made the argument, how many U.S. service personnel would actually fire on their own countrymen? That's a good point.
Right. And I always bring that argument up, too. When it comes to if they actually try to do a weapons seizure, 99% of cops would refuse to do it.
Yeah. All the military guys I know would...
National Guardmen would refuse to do it. And then if they waived posse comitatus and left the actual military in, 99% of them would refuse to do it. So there'd be...
Look at... Wait. Look at, what do you call that? The Branch Davidians, man. They just dressed up those Delta guys as DEA agents, and they fired at will. They killed all those little kids, Mike.
Well, the kids were killed in the fire, which was, I believe, was set by the Davidians themselves.
Well, no, they got. We did that shit. The government did that. I mean,
absolutely.
We had Delta operators there.
Was shady from the beginning because it was done for a certain agenda type. It was an agenda-driven siege, for sure.
Well, yeah. So I think that. Hey, hold on for a second. We got another caller that's coming in to debate you. I do agree, though. I think the vast majority of, because even using Delta operators isn't. a good analogy to your average serviceman, because those guys are.
What happened there was the reason the ATF went in was definitely shady. Once the ATF was fired on, the actual siege afterwards by the FBI and by some Spec Force guys did help there. The siege had to happen. I mean, you couldn't let just people fire on law enforcement like that.
Well, they came after him though. See, this is
without
where
a doubt, the ATF should have done it differently. The ATF should have waited for him to be in town and grabbed him, and they wanted a big showcase raid. I mean, there was a lot of politics involved with that raid. But once the ATF screwed the pooch on that one, and the FBI took over, the FBI couldn't just walk away.
Well, didn't they have the right to fire at the ATF, considering the ATF were the aggressors?
No, you can't. No, like when a SWAT team makes a raid and they're announcing who they are, you don't have a right. You don't have the right to resist an arrest. In the law. There's an affirmative defense on resisting arrest. You have to prove that the officer knew he was committing an illegal arrest. You can possibly get a defense, but you have to prove that it's an opposite defense. The defense has to prove their case as opposed to. So it's very hard to prove.
The ATF fired the first shot, not the Branch Davidians.
That's one of those things that the ATF doesn't say that. Right? I mean, that's one of those hit or miss things. There's who knows who fired the
Are
shot
you saying if it could be proved definitively that the ATF fired the first shot, then the Branch Davidians were? No. Cops don't have to wait for the first shot to be fired to respond. If they perceive something as a threat, they're allowed to use deadly force. So if somebody came to the door aiming a gun, the ATF was allowed to shoot. So if a normal citizen, firing first shot thing is irrelevant. Okay, now this is a very interesting discussion to me. Now this got extremely interesting because we go into police procedure and use of force. It seems like a contradictory idea to me. Because on the one hand, we're saying we need to protect ourselves against government tyranny. But then on the other hand, you say if an officer even feels that he can use lethal action, and then a normal citizen can't respond in kind. When individuals here in individual instances, as opposed to some kind of national referendum that says everybody's going to turn in their semi-auto weapons, that's a whole other bag of worms, But in actual individual instances, during individual cases, people don't have the right to resist. Okay, so the major difference there in your mind is that it's not a governmental. It's not like an overarching governmental referendum. It's their one-off cases and all the rest of it. Yeah, because there were allegations of child abuse. There were allegations of weapons being modified. Investigation of illegal acts. Should the ATF have made it a raid, or should they have waited for outside downtown? That's second guessing. Absolutely, they probably could have done it differently. But they were actually, investigating illegal acts. All right. Hold on. I still got some issues with that. We'll talk about it in a second. We got your debate partner coming up. Give me a second.
Did you get this person's super chat?
No, I did not.
I doubt the entire military.
Oh, yeah, I did talk about that. We're having a little bit of a lag, but hold on. You still there?
Creepy.
Mike?
Thing.
Elio, Mike?
Yes, I'm here. Yep.
Okay. Let me see if I can get my other guy on. I'm calling him right now.
Ugh, these flies in this room.
I know.
We have 2 flies in here, and they're like attacking us all the time.
Hello, who's this?
This is Mitchell.
Mitchell, okay. Do you have an AKA in the chat?
It's just my name.
Okay.
An AKA. Oh, no, it's just Mitchell Hearn, I think. Or whatever.
Okay.
Here, I'll say something.
So, Mitchell, tell me your thoughts about the Second Amendment, my man.
I just wanted to state, first off, that I'm not going to attempt here to argue that we should be taking guns away. I think that debate is ultimately counterproductive. because it's not a position that leads to a solution. It just polarizes people, and I don't think it's rooted in, I don't know, a realistic understanding of the world we live in, especially the United States as an American. So I'm not going to be making like some, stark counter argument, but I just want to point out that the Second Amendment, just to read it, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, commas here are also important. Well-regulated militia, comma, being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, comma, shall not be infringed. So there's a whole background just around interpreting that phrase and what all of those parts of that sentence actually mean. But so I just think it's not as clear cut as people make it seem about what the Second Amendment actually entails. But my point here really is that to solve like gun issues, and I guess we could make a distinction between just gun violence generally, and I think what's in people's consciousness, which is mass shootings specifically. I think there are some things that don't require taking people's guns away, again, because I think that doesn't provide a real solution to the problem, for some of the reasons that Mike points out, but also, that a regulated militia is written here, meaning that gun laws themselves often are required and necessary. So I'm not against gun laws. I also think, I have a nuanced position on some of these things. And I think you are good to point out, there are limits to any of these amendments, right? We have free speech, but there are limits to the First Amendment. You can't incite. Incitement's not allowed, just like there are limits to the Second Amendment. So where that line is and what is allowed, I think that's the healthy debate to have, not should we have guns or should we have no guns, or is it a people problem or a gun problem? It's, it's both. It's a people problem, and we know that, and guns are, certainly a major part of that. So I just want to kind of get people out of this dualistic thinking about not just the gun issue, but a lot of these issues where it's like they can't hold multiple truths at the same time. That has to be a black and white either or sort of a thing. So that just kind of being like where I'm coming from. As far as the mass shootings, I just have like a quick, very easy from the media side, in cases of the perpetrators making these things, examples of these things being held that's controversial and can actually do some good. It's a pretty common sense thing that we could do.
Isn't that limiting freedom of the press to some degree? Like, if you were to legislate that, wouldn't that be a form of limiting the press?
I'm not suggesting we legislate it, but I mean, again, like I said, there are limits to, I don't think that any limitation is necessarily, I mean, that's the debate, right? Like, that's where the rubber, we'd have to decide what constitutes any of these amendments. To abridge free speech, to abridge the freedom of the press, to abridge the Second Amendment, clearly. But yeah, we don't allow people to have tanks, mortars, you can have a tank and go out into the street and start.
People have tanks, but they have to keep them on their property. But people do have tanks, and they have anti-aircraft guns, and they have cannons.
And they're allowed to fire them and use them.
They can only use dummy rounds. They can't use explosive rounds, but they can certainly manufacture their own ammo.
Okay, well, thank you for the correction. because of war, right?
Right.
Now that's not, so, that's like, I'm not going to argue where that line's supposed to be. I'm just saying that, telling you that there are examples of where these things are abridged.
See, I didn't know that you can have a
There
tank.
absolutely should be restrictions on prohibited possessors, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that, I guess sort of like where you're arguing for, I guess I'm not sure exactly what your position is, Mike. Like, you're not an absolutist, but you think that abridging, like, well, what is a, I'm not sure what you find is the point at which
Prohibited possessor.
Sure.
Currently, with the laws read, you have felons can't own firearms. Work filed on you currently. Yeah, as far as if a person has weapons at home, what we call in this state to be no longer capable of taking care of themselves and possibly a threat to themselves or to other people,
they become a ward of this, state.
They usually get institutionalized for a certain amount of time. Authorities certainly can come in and the firearms for safekeeping, and then they have to go to court to get them back. I'm for all those things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good place to start. Is the common ground on where that line actually is, and because when we talk about the gun thing, we often aren't really people, it happens, it always happens after a mass shooting, right? So we talk about, well, this type of weapon or this, I think the focus is usually on the wrong thing, and finding that line where people can agree to move things, like the thing, or the domestic abuse thing, like those things.
It's like that can be mass shooting should be on as opposed to the actual weapon they used.
Yeah, I guess my take on that is it's inseparable. Well, I suppose, I guess I'm just saying that and then you do with guns, right. It has things to, part of it is absolutely a part of it, and like we have sort of a, like, hello?
I feel like you want to say something, but you're holding back because you're trying to be,
What you need to say, man? You need to say anything.
Well, no, I'm a issue, and it extends to the and the free access that we have. While I don't think there's anything wrong with it inherently, I think it creates a violent culture, and that's not to say what should be done about it, but I'm just trying to diagnose the sort of the problem here. So I find it cultural and unique to the United States. Again, we have that enshrined in our founding document, which is part of that.
Mike, do you agree?
Why that's true?
Mike, do you agree that Americans are particularly a violent people?
We are a independent and stubborn people, and when you have I was a jail guard for a year and a half after college before I became a street cop, and I was stunned at the number of people doing state jail time for habitual motor vehicle offending. These are people who, if they drove, they were facing a minimum of 5 years in jail. That's how bad their licenses were. But they were so stubborn that they were not going to be told by anybody that they were not going to drive. And that kind of mentality is just throughout our entire country, on the left and the right. And I just think that's part of the American mentality. Stubbornness and pig-headedness and independence. And along with that, guys will pick fights for the smallest things. And
Yeah, and so to go back to where we were a few minutes ago about, again, being in law enforcement and having that background, you knew exactly, like, what were the conditions under which someone's weapon could be taken away, and you acknowledged the slippery slope. And I think that that's absolutely true, but we arrived at least some sense of, common sense idea here of what constitutes a reasonable abridgment of the Second Amendment, and that if we extended that, I don't know where that's supposed to be, but that's a reasonable conversation to have. And I think oftentimes we get a bad faith. We have a lot of people arguing on both sides of this issue in bad faith who, will point out that slippery slope as a reason to do nothing at all. And that's where I have a problem, I suppose, is, because that can be true, but we live in a representative, at least to some extent, we live in a representative democracy where these issues can be debated, and, we have power over our legislators to some degree to do what we want them to do. So, that's what I mean, not all regulation clearly is a bridge too far. So I just want people to argue in good faith about this stuff more often and not jump immediately to these very polarizing, positions.
I would also argue the laws that we already have on the books need to be enforced way more than they are. When, like in Chicago and some of the bigger cities, when there's first charges that are dropped. Any of those charges are almost always and some of these, a lot of it is because they claim it adversely affects minorities. But it's a minority area.
Well,
so
shit.
It's going to affect minorities.
All the gun violence is adversely affecting minorities down there too. I can say.
But I'm telling you, those charges, those weapons charges, like felon in possession of a firearm, prohibited possession of a firearm, using a firearm in the commission of a felony, those enhancements are almost always dropped. So there's no negative repercussions for carrying a firearm by illegal possessors in those cities.
Whoa. Yeah. Okay, so that's good intel. So what you're saying, what I'm getting from you, it's Mitch, right? Mitchell. Yeah. What I'm getting from you is a more centrist sort of common sense. We need to scale back. I think Elio Mike agrees. Do you agree, Mitchell, that we should be, if we just enacted all the laws that we currently have on the books, that we would be okay? Or do you think we need more laws?
Well, not having an intimate knowledge of what these laws are, I can't say for sure, but I would say, enforcing the laws that we have absolutely is the first place to start. Start there. And but I don't know if that will address mass shootings, though. I think that will address maybe general gun violence. I think mass shootings are kind of a different animal, I suppose. Yeah, I would make a distinction. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, there's laws, as far as the gun violence goes, there's other laws like the laws against the straw purchase, laws against private citizens buying a certain time and then getting rid of them. That's kind of how all these weapons get into the big cities. Laws, against those kind of, but they're never enforced. Budgets are put forward to the ATF and to different agencies. And who made the straw purchase and what private guy is actually buying hundreds of handguns and then getting rid of them within a week. Because those aren't coming from actual dealers. They're not coming from FFL holders. They're coming from private citizens going out there, driving around and buying lots and lots and lots of guns and then selling them on the street. That's already illegal, and those kind of things need to be prosecuted.
I agree with that.
You almost never hear it happening.
Yeah, Mike, can I ask you just a question? This is it's related, but it's not. I'm just curious about your stance on concealed carry generally, and
versus not doing it, or versus open carry.
Versus open carry.
I am very much against open carry. Granted, it's just because something is a right doesn't mean it's right to do. You know.
What is your reasoning there?
Open carry just asks for trouble. If you're number one, you're going to 99 times out of 100, you're going to get a call to the authorities because you're walking around with a gun on your hip. You're also asking to get a brick upside the head so somebody can steal your gun. You'll be the first guy taken out if something does happen because they know you have the gun. I personally, I carried concealed before I was even a cop. When I was in college and I worked as a bouncer, I had my CCW. I've been carrying concealed for the last, since the mid-'80s. I haven't gone to a movie theater in 30-something years without a gun on my hip, but it's always concealed. I don't want anybody else to see it. I don't want anybody else to know I have it. I don't want to upset people. But I can now, that I'm retired, it's the Law Enforcement Officer Safety Act was passed back 15 years ago. I qualify every year to get a permit. I can carry nationally. I could carry concealed in Chicago or in D.C. or in L.A. I can go anywhere in the country with a concealed gun. It's a national carry permit, and I do. When I travel, I always have a gun on me.
That extends to airplanes and airports?
If I go on an airplane, I have to put it in my. I have to announce that I have it, but I have to put it in my check-in bag.
Okay.
Does it go under the plane, or it goes in your carry-on?
No, not my carry-on, my check-in.
Oh, okay.
Bag.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really have anything. I was just, people always talking about good guys with guns, taking down bad guys with guns. And I guess in my mind, I thought, well, if people were carrying out in the open, maybe that would, deter people from...
It depends. I guess it's a cultural thing. If you open carry in certain parts of Texas, nobody's going to bat an eye.
Yeah, I'm from Texas, so right. Yeah, I've seen that.
Open carrying, it's a culture. So culturally, in the Northeast, there's places where you can legally open carry, but where I live, if somebody's walking around with a gun on the hip, they're going to get calls on them. I mean, I responded to calls like that, and you talk to the person and just to tell them to be careful and check to make sure they're not a prohibited possessor, and they go on their way. But there's always people that are testing that to see how the police will react. I think and retired cops and cops that are off duty, we all carry concealed, and we all think it's a bad idea to carry open, even though it's legally you can do it. It's just tactically it's a bad idea.
Yeah, I don't see the win there for your ego,
or to just or to troll to get attention and to get people to call the police. So
well, I don't know. I think maybe some people might do that because they may think that carrying, you're going to be the first target because they don't want you shooting back at them.
Absolutely. If I was going to be a shooter in some area, and I see a guy with a gun and a gun in his hip, before I do anything, I'm making my way behind him and I'm taking him out. I mean, that's makes only And as far as people with weapons preventing crimes, the good guy with a gun, that happens millions of times every year. Way more than people think. And we're talking about just displaying a gun or cocking a gun can stop crimes. It was the CDC did a study on it, and it was 2 or 3 million times a year that a firearm, the presence of a firearm prevented a crime.
Hey,
now, yeah.
I actually wanted to ask you, Mitchell, about that. What do you think of millions of times, which is not a right-wing organization? What do you think about that guns have in the hands of the average quote unquote citizenry have prevented, literally millions of violent crimes?
Well, I would like to point out he didn't say violent crimes. I don't know if he meant to say that, but I think that's important. Yeah. While that's true, and I'm just going off what you said, I don't know this independently. I'm just that. I guess my take there is that crimes, it constitutes a lot of different things. Like if you're stealing from a convenience store and someone pulls out a gun, saying they don't even shoot you, but there's not a proportionality. Like, preventing crimes with guns, I am not sure is like the way. It wouldn't be the ideal solution for me, and it happens clearly. And I guess I don't really know what I think. I just ideally, like, I wouldn't want guns to be introduced in the event of like a non-violent crime. I think it's unnecessary. I think that perpetuates some of this. That speaks to the violent culture part of it, where it's like the first inclination is to reach for a gun.
Well, you live in Texas, where you can use a firearm. You can use deadly force to prevent a property crime.
Yeah, I know, and I agree. I think that it's not the right thing to do, personally. And I don't live in Texas now. I was raised there and born there.
Well, you know the mentality there. If somebody comes on your property, you can use deadly force, even if it's just if they're trying to steal your car.
Right. Yeah, and I guess I disagree with that. I think that's, the proportionality is enshrined in our legal system in terms of punishments doled out in a courtroom, and I think that citizens being able to kind of have free reign to make that call on their own and resort to is a problem.
The legal standard is the reasonable citizen argument, and given the area that you're in, if a reasonable person from your union, that makes it, so it's going to be different when it comes to that.
Yeah. That's where things get tricky, because the definition clearly is not agreed upon what a reasonable citizen would be. Yeah. So I think that there's
Yeah, but hold on, Mitchell. So are you saying that if somebody pulled a weapon on you and was running at gunpoint, are you saying that you would much rather, in the real world now, you'd much rather wait until a cop shows up? And Elio Mike just said that the majority of the time it's too late. He can't do anything except for clean up the mess. Would you rather...
No, because being robbed at gunpoint is a violent crime. I'm not speaking about that.
Okay.
My point was
so you're good with the citizen.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if someone grabbed my bag and started running away from me, they didn't punch me. They grabbed a purse and started running. And then I pulled out a gun. You know what I mean?
I agree with that.
Then you get into the whole argument about whether you can shoot somebody who's running away.
Okay. Mitchell, you still there?
I'm here. Is he cutting out?
He's cutting out. He was a really good debate partner for you. I've got.
Ian wants to call. Say to add to this.
Mitchell, you still there, buddy? Okay, so now I'm gonna look for Ian. Ian, call us.
I don't know what his name is when he calls you.
So.
I don't know what Comcast is. Is that a type of internet?
Internet
we
provider.
Have Spectrum.
We have Spectrum, which is a disaster.
Hello?
Hello, Mitchell.
Yeah, sorry. I think I walked out of connection range here.
Don't worry about it. We're going to have Ian. Ian's from the UK. He's going to call in. Ian, call in, sir. Ian is going to say that he thinks it's crazy that normal citizens can have guns. He's from the UK, so I want to hear his point of view.
He would say that.
Did he just call? Is that him?
There's a reason we left.
Oh, boy. There's a reason we left you.
Oh.
When you look at the whole Revolutionary War, it started because of a gun seizure by the Redcoats.
I did not know that. Okay.
What do you mean? Like, the first shot was fired? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, Lexington and Concord. They marched out of Boston to seize.
David, I'm going to look into that.
Of a town.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a inflammatory. I mean, that's kind of my point, is that that's an inflammatory. Given just that that's our founding story, that's why I don't find any argument about seizure of weapons to be. Like, to me, that's not a good faith argument. That's not to be taken seriously as a position.
Yeah, I think.
Guess.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. I think, foreigners, I don't mean to use the term pejorative, but foreigners that don't understand America, like, that is woven into our culture, like.
Our DNA. I talk about American DNA.
There's no way in hell that you're gonna be able to do that without an absolute bloodbath. No way.
Yeah.
I'm as gentle as a lamb.
We're not condemned to have all this gun violence either, though. I mean, this is some of this.
There's so many sociological and cultural parts that need to change in certain parts of the country to prevent a lot of this violence from happening. It's happening in spite of the weapons. You know, the easy access to some of these firearms, sure, probably helps make it easy. But if a lot of those laws were enforced, it would change that. And if poverty was addressed and mental health issues were dealt with properly, and people were able to get the help they needed, we probably.
And I have to point out that I just think one of the impediments to getting anything really done on this is I don't want to go off on a tangent because I want to stay on this issue, but like just living in the United States in a two-party system where everyone just wants to score some points and take up these positions is part of the problem. That no one will have an honest conversation because we only have the conversation after a mass shooting when everyone's emotions are off the charts and people run immediately to the get rid of all guns argument. And that's why we need to talk about this all the time.
Yeah, the vast majority of two-way proponents that are in my camp all feel the same way I do. Like the number of absolutists that think there should be zero restrictions on firearms are so minuscule compared to the actual people that believe, enforce the laws that are there, help with, address some of these sociological problems and address the mental health problem. But as far as the actual on the pro-gun side, everybody should have a gun. That's a small minority that it's not even.
Yeah, there's a lot of ideology at play here, like more de facto equals less violence or something, and that's pretty. There's too much ideology, and people can't think about things in a nuanced way, or just don't have the tools. I'm not sure what it is. Our culture makes it hard to have these kinds of conversations, I think.
Yeah, it's I guess, tribalism.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know if I have anything more to say because my positions are pretty, I don't know, based in our current where we are right now, and I think we have a lot of common ground here. I'm a person that doesn't own a gun. Don't foresee myself owning a gun. No one I know that's close to me has a gun. But I don't begrudge people who have firearms. I just think that the more we talk about this, the less, the more we can deal with these cultural factors, I think. And so, thanks for talking.
Yeah, you
Appreciate it, guys.
You guys demonstrated exactly what I'm trying to accomplish. Thank you, Mitchell. Who's this?
Thanks, Vin and Sori.
Bye.
Hello?
Who's speaking? Hello.
Hello, this is Ian.
Ian!
Oh, we got him. Good.
We got him.
Hey, sorry, I a couple of times to ring you guys and it just wasn't working for some reason. I'm glad I got in touch with you.
I'm loving the accent, my guy.
Thank you, guys. Incidentally, just before I start, I've been a subscriber to your channel since you did the Cradle of Filter, Ghost in the Fog. Love you guys so much.
Oh,
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Anyway, I'm aware that this might be a bit controversial because I come from outside of your country. I'm an outsider to this, I guess you could say. But I live in England where we have very strict gun laws. And as a consequence, we have very, very few mass shootings. And again, I'm gonna preface this by saying I'm aware that it's not that simple because when gun crime is rife in your country and a lot of people have guns, so if they point a gun at you, then I know it's not as simple as that. But I say that
I disagree with their arms. I actually don't think that citizens should have the right or carry weapons, and that's just my opinion. In the US, and I know that I noticed in the commentary that people said, well, you know, you have a lot of far more knife crime than us, and that's actually true, but that's because when guns aren't available, people who want to institute violence are going to go for what they can get. So because guns aren't readily available in this country, they're going to go for knives. If they couldn't get knives, they'd go for something else. So that was the sort of starting point I wanted to make. And what do you think of that?
Mike?
Well, obviously, I'm going to disagree. I think the Second Amendment is a very trying to compare the two is just it's apple and orange. The actual gun violence that goes on in this country, the violence, the causes of some of the crime, we could put a big dent in a lot of the gun deaths. Or a dramatic drop in the number of gun deaths that we actually do have because of crime. You know. Well,
may I respectfully disagree with you?
Yeah.
I accept your point. I do, but like for example, your point that they say a lot of the gun crimes are linked with suicides, and you know where people want to commit suicide, that's going to happen. Someone very dear to me committed suicide, so I know that's a very emotional topic. But I guess the sort of the direct point I'm trying to make is that where people are going to use guns or commit crime or use violence, you know, there's always people to do the things that they want to do. So for me personally, and I grant you I'm an outsider, but I think that the way forward is clearly to me to make it less easy for those things to happen. So I'm going to draw a direct parallel. We in England carry a weapon under any circumstance, used on a gun, you know, etc. I don't want to go into the minutiae of it all, but while I accept your point, I still think that, because I mean, can I just go back to one thing that you said? That the amendment is one of the of your country, and I absolutely agree. For me, as a nothing, it's your constitution I've actually studied for. But I think the thing that you need to take in mind is when you say the Second Amendment. Amendment means that the law that existed before has been amended, which by its very definition means it can be amended again. And I think you need to look at the reason. And I also like to look at the guns. And why? Because it's money. So think of that.
Well, yeah. Well, the NRA started as a gun safety organization, and that's pretty much their main focus right now. The idea that they, well,